Hello everyone, and welcome to the first ever audio version of the PPV review. My name is the Lunatic Ginger, and I'm your host as always. And congratulations to me. We've made it. We made it to audio. Congratulations to me. Yeah. So I'd really like to thank everyone who kind of supported me when I was writing the articles, and they thought, oh wow, this is good stuff, because it is good stuff. I'm sure it is. And now we've made the jump to audio, so yeah, I'm really excited. A bit nervous, but really excited mostly. So I think we should get going into this god-awful pay-per-view, No Way Out 2012. And to start off with things, we get a replay of the finish of Over the Limit. With how shocking the Big Show heel turn was. Oh my god. We couldn't believe it. I mean, come on. A Big Show heel turn. Wow. And he once again points out that he is a giant. I mean, he's been doing that for 20 years or so, however long he's been in the business. But every time he seems to cut a heel promo, he always says, "I'm a giant." He seems to think that we don't know that already. It's like, no shit. And we see on Raw, the Big Show knocks out Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who was back in the fold, and you'd think he knocked him out. Surely you think that's worth a firing, but no, because Big Show's got an ironclad contract, he can do whatever the hell he wants, which seems very weird. So yeah, all right. So then there's we see the stipulation is added by Vince McMahon that if Show loses, then Big John Laurinaitis, he gets fired. He gets fired if Big Show loses against John Cena. And then, so this was also... so if you remember back to Over the Limit, you'll remember that was the last stipulation of the last match that John Cena and John Laurinaitis had, if you remember, because that's when Big Show intervened, and obviously Johnny kept his job. So we get onto the old pyro and ballyhoo and stuff, and Michael Cole gets on the commentary, and he says that if Cena loses, he is fired. And I was like, what? They didn't put that in the package. But apparently that is true. I'm like, all right, fair enough. We know who's winning and losing that match now. We get our first match of the night, which is Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler for the World Heavyweight Championship. I was like, oh yes, get in. I'm excited now. Can Ziggler finally win a World Heavyweight title? And I was like, no, probably not. But I'm still going to be excited, because every time Ziggler's in the ring, I am excited. Dolph gets in the ring and immediately starts doing pull-ups in the corner, and then starts doing one-handed press-ups. I was like, yes, this is very good. And Ziggler started getting cheers and face reaction from the crowd, even though he is a heel, which is kind of deserving, because, everybody loves a bit of Dolph Ziggler. The match starts, and Dolph starts talking tactics to Vicky Guerrero, who obviously we all love. He turns around and almost gets hit with a bro kick. He then keeps going outside and taking breathers while Sheamus is trying to chase him around. Then we get a proper bit of chain wrestling, which is kind of weird seeing chain wrestling from Sheamus, using all those holds and stuff. We get a beautiful drop kick from Dolph Ziggler, and then we get a sleeper attempt by Dolph, but he is pushed onto the top rope. The hold is then broken, and then Dolph slaps Sheamus right in the face, which leads to Sheamus pushing Dolph Ziggler off of the top rope and landing on the floor, and it looked a bit nasty. And then I thought to myself, hey, is this a Kiss Me Arse match? No, it's not. See, WWE, you can just book a normal match between two guys like Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler. You don't have to have a shitty stipulation like that one did. Unbelievable. Anyway, back to the action, and we get a battering ram from Sheamus, and then a big elbow by Sheamus. Dolph then pulls Sheamus's arms and slams them into the ring post, and we get a big DDT from Ziggler, which only gets a 2 count. Michael Cole thought that Sheamus had reversed that, but it was obvious that he didn't. I don't understand what he was really looking at. And Dolph is now in major control. Booker T has pointed out on different occasions that both Dolph and Sheamus have got their work cut out against them. Or whatever the hell he's on about. It's just so pointless trying to think of what Booker T's trying to get across. But it's really, really bad analysis, whatever it is. Back to the action, and headstand during the headlock from Dolph, which I really want him to bring back. But yeah, I really want him to bring it back. And Sheamus fights back. We get a white noise attempt, but it's reversed into a massive DDT once again, and he gets another 2 count once again. Sheamus fights back again, and we get a roll up from Ziggler. He then grabs the ropes, but the referee sees it before he counts 3. And then we get a roll up from Sheamus while Dolph is arguing with the referee, and that gets a 2 count. Then we get a neck breaker from Dolph, which is another 2 count. And then Sheamus fights back again, and then Dolph gets the sleeper on him. And then Sheamus just about gets to the ropes, and then dumps Ziggler over the top of the ropes. And now come some botches in this match, which kind of takes away from the match a little bit. Ziggler goes for a crossbody, and it's obvious that Sheamus is meant to catch him, but he doesn't, and he just falls onto the floor. And then Sheamus goes for an Irish curse backbreaker, and it looks like that Dolph is meant to reverse it and get on the sleeper again, but he can't climb onto Sheamus's back, and he just falls off. Which is it just really takes away from the match that all of these botches that happen. It really looks bad. Sheamus then runs straight into the ring post, and we get a famouser from Dolph. Another 2 count. The crowd goes crazy, and I was like, God damn it, why can't Ziggler win a match? We get Let's Go Ziggler chants, which is strange, and then Laura remarks, hey, look at all these crowd chanting, let's go Sheamus! And I was like, no, they're not. You idiot, you stupid old deaf man. What the hell are you doing? And then Sheamus pulls himself from the floor to the top rope, which I think was really cool. Dolph then jumps up there too, and he hits a top rope facebuster / X Factor / Bella Buster, whatever you want to call it. And again, it is another 2 count. This match has just been all Dolph Ziggler. And now it is even more Dolph Ziggler as he looks for the zigzag, but it is countered into an Irish curse backbreaker. And you know really what's coming from now on. There's 10 shots on the apron to his chest, but then Dolph goes for another sleeper, but it's countered into a white noise. Sheamus has still only gone for the 1 cover in the match. Brogue kick, and Sheamus wins. Just like that. Bish bash bosh, 1, 2, 3 moves. Brogue kick, bang. Dolph Ziggler out. Sheamus wins. Kind of really doesn't look good for Ziggler, does it? And then we move on to a bit of a segment where Vince McMahon, yeah, remember him, walks down the hallway, and big Johnny Laurinaitis catches up to him, even though he's got crutches. Yeah, Johnny says that maybe Vince shouldn't go out to ringside tonight to watch the main event because he has a concussion. And it got me thinking, this really amazes me that only 3 years ago, this was 3 years ago, and the WWE was still really just like taking concussions so lightly. It's really amazing. Vince doesn't say anything, and he just goes into his office and slams the door on Big Johnny. The TNA legend, Josh Matthews, shows up and asks Johnny about the pressure of the main event tonight. Johnny asks what Josh knows about pressure. I said to myself, well, of course he knows about the pressure of working at TNA and calling Impact all by himself, now that he's just taken the piss out of every other commentator in the world. Johnny says, I'm not a failed wrestler who wants to be an announcer but can't even announce. And I was like, sick burn, Johnny. And oh boy, what a match we've got up for you next as Santino Marella, #Brendan's favourite, takes on Ricardo Rodriguez in a tuxedo match. Yeah! It's finally happening! Oh my god! Sometimes I hate this job. You got to realise, people, that Santino is the US champion at this point, and he's in a tuxedo match against Ricardo Rodriguez. What the hell is he doing? Why is he not defending his title? Ricardo comes out, and I didn't realise that Ricardo had his own theme music. Go look it up. It's really weird. And just, I'm just so, I really don't want to call this match, but I had to watch it. And here we go. Stuff starts happening. Clothes starts getting ripped off. And I'm sure backstage Vince is like, yes, this is hilarious. Everybody loves this. Ricardo, I found out, has some tattoos. Santino has a cobra on his foot. I mean, like the sock thing, and hits Ricardo with his foot, but also which is the cobra. Yes, Brendan, this is happening. I'm sure you love it. Anyway, Santino wins. Whoop-de-frickin-do. We cut to Matt Striker, and he's with CM Punk. He asks about what's going on with AJ, and then AJ shows up as if by magic, and she says she wishes Punk good luck, and he says, of course. He of course says, luck is for losers, because that's what CM Punk is like. We move on to our next match, which is Cody Rhodes versus Christian for the IC title, and I was like, did this match happen before? And I realised it did over the limit, because if you remember, Christian won that Battle Royal thing and then won the title. And I was like, oh yeah. So it just shows that match was pretty forgettable, and I just hope they can pull off a better match today. We get a load of shoulder blocks to start, which is kind of weird. We get a baseball slide by Christian, and then Cody takes control on the outside. Christian's shoulder hits the ring post, and to be honest, it's just a pretty boring stuff to start up, to be honest. Cody's targeting the arm of Christian. Christian is pushed off the top rope to the floor like Ziggler was in the first match. It's weird that it's the same spot. Cody goes into the steps. Christian comes back and hits a DDT on the floor. Christian hits a missile drop kick and then a crossbody, but is rolled through by Cody, and he gets a 2 count. A top rope Hurricane Rana, which is nice, by Christian for a 2 count. We get an Alabama Slam by Cody for 2 count. We then get an inverted DDT by Christian, and then a sunset flip by Christian, which is countered into a pinfall for a very, very close 2. And we get the kill switches hit. And I thought, oh, there we go. This is a pretty boring match. But then Cody kicks out of the kill switch. So I was like, what? What is going on? It was a bit of a surprise. Christian then tries to hit the frog splash, but Cody gets his knees up. And then we get the finish of the match, which I kind of liked. It was very quick, fast-paced. There was a disaster kick, which missed. Kill switch reversed. Backdrop reversed. The disaster kick missed again. Christian hits the spear. And Christian gets the 1, 2, 3 and retains. It was an okay match, and I did like that ending. And then we're back into despair as the team of Primo and Epico take on the team of Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd, who take on the team of the Primetime Players, who take on the team of the Usos. Yes, you are hearing me correctly. This is a Primetime Players, Usos, Kidd and Gabriel, Primo and Epico match. And it's on pay-per-view. Why is this on pay-per-view? There's no titles involved. It's a number 1 contender match. Why is this on a pay-per-view? This is a Raw match, at best. For God's sake. Titus and Jey Uso start off, and the Usos start off really strong, actually. They control most of the starting punches. And then Ole! Epico is in, and then he is out. PJ Black the Darewolf, also known as Justin Gabriel, is in. And this is just such a boring match with no crowd heat whatsoever. And the Matadors start getting in control, even though they're the Matadors at the moment. They're just Puerto Ricans at this point. Things start to break down, which of course always happens in a multi-man tag match. Primo hits Kidd with a backstabber, but Titus breaks it up. Everyone gets taken out to light applause. Young and Primo are the legal men at this finish. Darren hits his finisher, whatever it's called. And in a weird situation, the current number 1 contenders today are the number 1 contenders here too. The Primetime Players win. This guy, who I had no clue who he was, who came out with Primo and Epico, called AW. What a name. Well done, Vince, for figuring that one out. He joins them in the ring, and seems to think like he was in it all along, and they were in it all along, and he was part of the Primetime Players. And I really, I care, honestly. I didn't know who you were before you came in. You've done nothing so far to convince me you're important. And then, yeah, I don't really care about that match at all, as you could probably tell. We get a video package now on this Brock versus Triple H storyline that's going to be dragged out throughout the whole of 2012. And then Triple H comes out to the ring with a nice surprise. Trips talks about his job and the lawsuits he's had to face from Brock and Paul Heyman. And he proposes a one-on-one match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. We then cut to Daniel Bryan warming up. AJ comes up to him and says exactly the same thing she said to Punk, and that she hasn't got over him. Which is kind of, this is, I can see where all of this is going. And then we continue on our road to just hell, as we get Beth Phoenix versus Layla for the Divas title. And we all know that Beth Phoenix is money. She was the best diva for whenever she was about, for those about 5 years, I suppose. She was just, no one could really challenge her at this point in 2012. She was easily the best. Why would you take the title off her? They did it. They gave it to Nikki Bella, I think, or Brie Bella, I can't remember which one, for like 6 days. And then Layla won it. And then Layla's kept hold of it so far. And Beth is like, well, shouldn't I should be the title holder. I'm the best. They're like, yeah, you are the best. But anyway, we start the match and Beth starts cutting a promo without a mic during the match. Like, she's just, like, the match has started, she's beating up Layla and she's just started cutting a promo without and then Layla mocks Beth by stealing her headpiece thing and wearing it and starts dancing around, and then Beth chases Layla around the ring, like for 30 seconds. It's like, this is happening. This is the Divas title match. Whew. Layla then takes a bump off the apron, and Beth starts throwing her around. Literally. We get a roll up by Layla for 2, and then Beth is back in control. We get the crossbody from Layla, which gets another 2 count. A power slam by Beth, which I thought was really nice for 2 count. A gorilla press, which is reversed into a big DDT by Layla for another 2 count. This is a bit better. I did, to be fair to the Divas, I did like that bit. And then we get a neck breaker from Layla, and she retains again, just like that. A big DDT like that, like it was similar like to Dolph Ziggler's signature move. That doesn't beat Beth, but a little neck breaker does. Weird. And I kind of feel sorry for Beth. And then we cut to AJ. She's walking about in the back, and she finds a certain big red monster. She wishes him good luck, and then she gets a big sloppy kiss from Kane. Lovely. Exactly what I wanted to see. And then, when you think this card could not get any worse, we get Hunico versus Sin Cara. What the hell is this match doing here? What the hell is this match doing here? We have the current Sin Cara, which is Hunico, for those who didn't know. He's the current one with the Lucha Dragons, who's actually alright in the ring, I guess, versus the old shite one, who's Mexican and doesn't understand a word of English and just couldn't wrestle in America for shit. So why do... And then I realised we have different lighting for Sin Cara matches. That's weird. I wasn't really watching wrestling when Sin Cara was about, but why does he get different lighting than everyone else? Weird. We get Hunico in control. Michael Cole says, everyone's talking about Sin Cara. Yes, that's right, Michael. They're talking about how he got suspended for drugs use. We get a great chant during this one, which I liked. It was, "We want Ryder, woo, woo, woo." Definitely applicable to that match. And I actually yawned during this match. I couldn't believe it. And the end of the match comes when we get a big head scissors from Sin Cara, and he wins. Yep. let's move on. You get a promo package for the old WWE title triple threat match, and I still don't know how Kane. I still don't understand how Kane is getting a title shot, and they don't really explain it very well. During the match, Cole says that Punk and Bryan kind of forced Kane into the title match. Like, what the hell are you on about? And it seems during this promo package that this match is like for the AJ title, not the WWE title. It's all about AJ Lee. And before I go further with this, I'm going to say I do like AJ Lee. I think she's good at this, being crazy. I think she's a great personality. But why, oh why, do they have to have her as the centre of attention during this WWE title feud? This should be main eventing pay-per-views. You've got CM Punk, one of the greatest performers of the last 10 years, versus Daniel Bryan, the other greatest performer of the last 10 years. Both brilliant technical wrestlers. Why can't the feud be... Why does Kane have to be there? Get rid of Kane anyway, for starters. Just make the feud like this. CM Punk is going around saying he's the best in the world. Daniel Bryan comes up and says, no, you're not better than me at technical wrestling. Let's have a WWE title match. Okay, let's have a match. And they do have a match, and they have a freaking awesome match, because they would. Like they did the Over the Limit one was great. And it had a funny finish, yeah, which means they lead on to this one. But this should have been a rematch, not a triple threat match with AJ all over this match. I don't understand. I'm really sorry, but I just don't understand. I do like AJ, but it's just weird. I think that they ruined this. This feud could have been one of the greatest of recent times. Like, we hadn't had a great feud for ages. And this could have been it. CM Punk versus Bryan. Because they both could work brilliantly with each other. If they got time, if they got main event in a pay-per-view, not John Cena getting stupidly put in the main event every single time of a pay-per-view, and CM Punk... This makes me see why CM Punk left. It's that bad. He is the WWE champion. He was WWE champion for however many days, whatever it was, 300 and something days. And I don't know how many main event pay-per-view... He probably only got main event. I don't know the rest of the year, but he probably only got main event when he was feuding with John Cena, probably. And it's a real shame. But anyway, that's the end of my rant for CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and AJ. Kane. He's just not scary anymore. They just completely ruined his character so much by having love angles over the years. Like, since he had one with Lita, didn't he? I mean, they got married or whatever. And then this one with AJ. To be fair, good on Kane for getting in the WWE title match at this age. Good for him. But really, he shouldn't be there. And yeah, I'm just tired of Kane already. And it's only a few episodes in. But yeah, so CM Punk comes out and he's obviously still the most over person in this place and still doesn't main event any pay-per-views. Booker T gets the line of the night. Yes, are you ready for this? Where he says, I've got 3 words. Let's get it on tonight. That's 5 words, Booker. What? No, there isn't. No, you're lying. I laughed so hard when I heard it the first time. I couldn't believe it. Like, what goes through his mind? And no one called it. This thing is, Michael Cole nowadays, or JBL, would probably call him on it. They just didn't say a thing. But here we go anyway. Here we go. Let's get it on tonight. Punk and Bryan both kick Kane a lot. Punk and Bryan then get it on. And it's quite funny how every time Bryan punches, he shouts, yes. And every time Punk hits, he shouts, no. Clothesline to Punk by Kane. We get a suicide dive from Bryan to Kane. Punk then takes out both guys from the top rope. Kane then takes out Punk and then Bryan. Kane is now dominating Punk. It all really quietens down when Kane is in control, like taking over the match. It's like, I have to sit through this to get to the actual action. And Bryan comes back into the ring, and he runs straight into a sidewalk slam from Kane for a 2 count. Bryan then gets his comebacks moves in, but Kane doesn't go down when he hits the clothesline. Bryan kicks Kane with his usual kicks, his yes kicks, and he goes out of the ring. Bryan is now in control of Punk. And then there's this weird bit where there's a superplex attempt, but Kane throws Punk out of the way. Then Punk throws Kane out of the way. Then Kane throws Punk out of the way. Then Punk throws Kane out of the way, and then those two start fighting. I'm thinking that this went on one move too long, and then Bryan double drop kicks the both of them. There's a Bryan yes kicks to both Punk and Kane. Punk then rolls him up before the last kick and gets a 2 count. We get a Punk high knee to Bryan and then a Punk high knee to Kane. He then goes out the corner, clotheslines Bryan, and then does a neck breaker to Kane. Later on in the match, Bryan gets up on Kane's shoulders, and Punk does the Doomsday Device to Bryan. To be fair, I marked out a bit to that move. And then there's a clothesline to Kane, who go out of the ring, and Punk gets a 2 count on Bryan. A Punk elbow hits from the top rope, and he gets a 2 count. He looks to the GTS, but the GTS gets interrupted by a big boot from Kane. Punk comes back and hits the double elbow on Kane. No, he doesn't. He misses the big elbow on Kane. A flying headbutt on Punk hits from Daniel Bryan. He gets a 2 count. Bryan takes Kane out, and a roll up by Punk for 2. A big kick by Bryan, and the yes lock is in. Punk rolls back like he did it over the limit, and when he got the 3 count, but he only gets a 2 count this time. He then hits the GTS, but Kane drags Bryan out of the ring before Punk can get the 3 count. And then an amazing move, which I always love, the Kane top rope clothesline to CM Punk. And I was like, oh, I missed that move. But obviously, in his old decrepit age, Kane can never do that again. A chokeslam is reversed into a DDT, which gets a 2 count. Another Punk elbow attempt, but this time it hits on Kane. Another 2 count again. Punk tries to get the GTS on Kane, but Kane is too heavy, which leads to a big boot, and then a chokeslam. I was like, ooh, no way. But no, of course, it was a 2 count. Kane signals for the tombstone, but CM Punk reverses it and pushes Kane into the ropes, where AJ Lee has turned up and gets onto the apron, and she gets tumbles off the apron straight away. And then a GTS to Kane, and CM Punk retains the title. And this is a good match, but unfortunately, this is as good as it gets on this pay-per-view. Kane, and then after the match, we get a weird situation as Kane picks up AJ and carries him back to somewhere, his lair probably. AJ looks back at the crowd and at CM Punk and smiles in a very strange way. And then we go back to despair again as Ryback takes on Team Jobber. And I just want to say this. I like Ryback as much as the next guy, but this shouldn't be on a pay-per-view. This is a Raw match. Let's just get that clear. This just shouldn't be on the pay-per-view, in my eyes. Anyway, Ryback destroys them and hits them with a double shell shock, as per usual. We get a promo package for Cena versus Show. Did you know Big Show is a giant? Because he tells you often enough. Big Johnny comes out first, and then we get, well, it's a hat show, because he's wearing his stupid woolly hat again, indoors. It's big sexy Paul White. And here we go with the match. Because let's go through all the pay-per-views that I've reviewed, that Cena has headlined without a title being remotely involved. Elimination Chamber. Okay? WrestleMania. Look, Elimination Chamber, he faced Kane. WrestleMania, he faced The Rock. Extreme Rules, he faced Brock Lesnar. Over the Limit, he faced John Laurinaitis. And now, at No Way Out, he faces Big Show. Yes, they are. It's nearly all the pay-per-views, apart from one, the Royal Rumble, because obviously the Royal Rumble will main event the Royal Rumble. Anyway, Big Show starts out in control, and it is boring as fuck. Big Show goes for the KO punch, but misses and hits the cage, and there isn't really much else I can say. It's exactly what you would think a Big Show John Cena match in a cage would look like. Michael Cole, who's been strange all night, because sometimes in matches he's face, sometimes he's a heel. It's just really weird. And Cena starts the fight back as per usual after the show's been in control for which seems like an hour, but probably only 10 minutes. And what a surprise, John Cena fights back. He kicks out 2 a couple of times. An interesting spot for once in this match. Big Show does a top rope elbow from the top rope, but misses it. Almost breaks the ring. Show almost escapes the cage through the door, but John Cena pulls the whole Big Show back from almost winning and puts him back in the ring. Big Johnny interferes with the cage door now as he pushes the referee out the way and closes the door before Cena can get out. Vince then throws him out. Vince then throws him out the way, and then Johnny pushes Vince into the cage door. Meanwhile, in the ring, Cena's turned around and Big Show hits the chokeslam, but of course, John Cena kicks out at 2. Big Show then knocks out the ref with his knockout punch, and then knocks out Cena with his knockout punch, which means both the ref inside the ring and outside the ring have been knocked out. And then a serious what the fuck moment as Big Show is about to leave, but no, wait. Who comes to interfere? I'll give you a couple of seconds. No, you're all wrong. It's Brodus Clay. Yep. Brodus Clay with a chair is waiting outside, and then Santino, double Santino for Brenda tonight, whoop whoop, and Alex Riley come out and try to stop Big Show from leaving, but they just get thrown off the cage. And this is just making me feel sorry for Show. It's putting more face into Big Show, because everybody else it's like the whole world is against Big Show, and John Cena is cheating by bringing all these people out. Zack Ryder shows up to a big pop, but he just gets knocked down, same again. But then Kofi Kingston comes out. Don't worry, it's a new day. And Kofi gets to the top of the cage and kicks Big Show off of the top of the cage. Cena gets close to the door, but then Big Show grabs him. But then straight away, Cena hits the AA. And oh my god, he just AA'd the Big Show. Oh my god, the Giant, he's AA'd the Big Show. Just like he's done since 2004, when it was first impressive. Cena covers him, but obviously there is no ref to count the 3. Show is trying to leave via the door, and Cena is going over the top. Who will get there first? Brodus Clay grabs Johnny, who was trying to interfere, and tells John to jump on him, but he doesn't, obviously. Big Show almost makes it out of the door, but Cena makes it to the floor first. And that damn cheating heel Cena wins. Cena gets Laurinaitis up on his shoulders, and Vince comes over and says those words, "John Laurinaitis, you're fired." Oh, that really hurt my mouth. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then Cena AAs John Laurinaitis through the table, and there we go. We have the end of this pay-per-view. Praise the Lord. So there we go, people. No Way Out, done. It was definitely up there for the worst pay-per-view of the year so far. It was just so bad. You can only say that the triple threat match was good. The Sheamus Ziggler match was acceptable on this level. On the pay-per-view size show, and Christian versus Cody was meh, barely acceptable, and the rest was just utter garbage, utter garbage, absolutely useless. So that makes it's a pretty easy decision, because there's so few good matches that the match of the night was pretty obviously the triple threat WWE title match, as it was just the least bad of the whole lot. Just an awful pay-per-view. And my MVP is CM Punk. I think I've given that to him before. I have to check. But yeah, this is so CM Punk was again probably the best performer in that match, so that gives him the MVP award for today. And so yeah, that is it. That is done. The first ever audio podcast of the pay-per-view review show. And it was an interesting one to start, wasn't it? So yeah, thank you all for listening. If you've somehow found me from not the Brendan Place forums, how the hell have you found me? But yeah, if you haven't, I would go and check the Brendan Place forums, because all of my previous articles are there. And if this is the first one you're listening to, go read all the previous ones, because they're all interesting in their own way. And yeah, so if you haven't joined the Brendan Place forums, please join at Brendan. Oh, I don't know the link, but it's just type in Brendan Place forums and you'll be able to find it. And go sub to Brendan Plays. Cheap plug, yeah. So yeah, thank you all for listening. Hopefully, this will start us off on a new. I was going to say a new day, a new road for this review show. But yeah, if you've got comments, either leave them in the YouTube comments or leave them on the old Brendan Plays forums thread, because this is where that will be posted. And yeah, good or bad, because I know this is probably not the best start. But yeah, and I'm probably not the best host. But yeah, if there's any comments that you've got and any ways you think I can improve, please do say so. And yeah, if you liked this, please do say so as well, because it'd be nice to get some good comments. And please positively rep the post on the Brendan Place forums, because if you like it, rep it, as good old Nabakos says. And yeah, next time will be Money in the Bank, which I hope is better, but I very much doubt it. So yeah, this is all from me and the pay-per-view review show, and I will see you next time.